meeting to order. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Howard, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Amiditz? Mrs. Buckley?
Here.
Dr. Campbell?
Here.
Mrs. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Means?
Present.
Mr. Rose?
Here.
Mrs. Rule?
Here.
Mr. Spicuzza? Mr. Sestich?
Present by phone.
We
Seven
have
members are present, correct?
7 board members present.
Thank you. I am pleased to announce that for the first time in school history, this year's Bethel Park High School graduation ceremony was broadcast live on Blackhawk TV, which can be found on Comcast Channel 19 and Verizon Fios Channel 28. Rebroadcasts are now occurring on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. This first for Bethel Park has been made possible because of the new technology that was purchased for and installed in our new high school, as well as the dedicated group of students who are part of our Blackhawk TV staff. Having our graduation ceremony in the gymnasium was another bonus for the district, as the indoor graduation enabled this event to be viewed live by our community. And we are excited about that, as well as other events that our Blackhawk TV staff have filmed for rebroadcast. Because of the technological capabilities at the high school, the May 30th presentation in the Bethel Park High School auditorium by renowned forensic pathologist and former Allegheny County coroner Cyril Recht was also able to be broadcast live into all of our Bethel Park High School classrooms for those students who were unable to attend the presentation in the auditorium. Dr. Weck graciously gave permission for his presentation to be broadcast on television, and Blackhawk TV has arranged for it to air on Comcast and Verizon Fios. We are also hoping to be able to rebroadcast this presentation throughout the summer, but those times have not yet been scheduled. Please check the high school latest news webpage or the Blackhawk TV Facebook page for updated information. We are extremely proud of the work of our technology director, Ron Ryer, and his talented staff to be able to make events like this possible for our community to enjoy. Thanks also go to our dedicated students who work on the Blackhawk TV staff and teacher Jim Melnick for their commitment to growing our new TV station and providing our students, staff, and community with quality programming. That sounded like a TV announcement, didn't it? Earlier this month, the Bethel Park School District approved a new contract between the school district and 60 bus drivers, 16 bus aides, and 3 mechanics who comprise our transportation union. This new agreement covers the period between July 1st, 2011 and June 30th, 2015, and guarantees that Bethel Park School District employees will continue to transport our students to and from school and extracurricular activities, as well as maintain our fleet of buses. At this time, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our Transportation Department employees. As I said the night we approved the new contract, for many of our students, our bus drivers and aides are the first and last Bethel Park School District employees they encounter each and every school day, and we greatly appreciate the care and concern these individuals demonstrate on a daily basis for the safety and welfare of our students. As I also mentioned previously, these are not easy times in public education, and the things we used to be able to give to our employees in terms of compensation and benefits are not easily affordable to us anymore. But we are pleased that this new contract allows the district to be able to keep our transportation services in-house. Even though there is a 3-year wage freeze, this new contract keeps these individuals working as Bethel Park District employees and helps them to stay in the Pennsylvania School Employees Retirement System and to maintain health care through the Allegheny County Schools Health Insurance Consortium. We look forward to continuing to work with our transportation employees as our valued partners in education. This evening, I am also pleased to be able to continue our tradition of formally recognizing the new contract with a brief signing ceremony. Before we sign the contract, I would like to present certificates of appreciation to the members of the union negotiating team. I will be calling your name, and I wish you to come forward and please stand behind the table. I'll ask Mr. Rosman to please join me at the mic while we present these certificates. Maybe call them and I'll pass them through.
Beth Tomshay. Dave Cheesebro.
You want to call his name?
Jim Brugman. Diane Laurie. Marianne Cowan. Janice Nim. T. Moore. And John Galeska.
Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mrs. Cook, I
Yes,
have two additions.
Yes, sir.
The motion is there, but the number is not in the blank. Under finance on number 23, the 2014 millage rate should be 21.8593. Item number 23, the millage rate is 21.8953.
8593.
8593, excuse me, 21.8593. On item number 25, the assessed homestead valuation deduction will be $7,380. 7,380. With those, I move the adoption of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 7-0. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the business meeting of May 22nd, 2013, the regular meeting minutes of May 28th, 2013, and the special meeting for general purposes minutes of June 10th, 2013.
So moved.
Move the approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That carries 7-0. I need to announce executive sessions held May 8, 2013 for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. May 22nd, 2013 for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. May 28, 2013 for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. June 10th, personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. And June 25th, 2013 for personnel, other legal matters, and to receive information. staff report, and Ms. O'Rourke.
It is my pleasure to share with you this evening the final report highlighting events of the 2012 and 13 school year. It is my pleasure to share with you this evening the final report highlighting events of the 2012-13 school year. Bethel Park High School held its first indoor graduation in the new gymnasium on Saturday, June 15th, with 440 students graduating from the high school this year. Speaking at this year's ceremony were co-valedictorians Kyle Barron and Juliana Buchwald, senior class president Angelina Barafio, and student government president Sarah Fullerton. From the class of 2013, 74.5% will attend a four-year college, 13.5% will attend a two-year college, 4% will attend a business or technical school or participate in an apprenticeship, 4% will join the workforce, and 2% will enter the military. 48% of the class of 2013 graduated with honors, which means they had a minimum QPA of 3.5. The class of 2013 earned $5 million in scholarships. This year, we had the pleasure of awarding an honorary diploma to Mr. Lawrence Bud Simon, who entered the United States Navy in 1942 and would have graduated high school in 1944. He served our country as a seaman first class on several submarines in the Pacific during World War II. He is the 11th veteran to receive a Bethel Park honorary diploma and the first person to participate in commencement since 2003. It is an honor to have him in this ceremony. Bethel Park High School senior Thomas Colano was named the May Student of the Month at the Rotary Club of Bethel Park. Thomas served as the president of the Interact Club at the high school, which is the Rotary student organization, and helped to coordinate several service projects that benefited SHIM, the Parker family, and orphans in Zimbabwe, to name a few. Each month during the school year, the Rotary Club recognizes an outstanding Bethel Park High School student who demonstrates commitment to school and community. Our spring sports teams had successful seasons. The boys volleyball team won the section championship and advanced to the WPIAL championship game and to the quarterfinals of the state playoffs. The girls track team participated in the WPIAL semifinals. The baseball team, boys lacrosse team, and girls lacrosse team made it to the WPIAL quarterfinals. Congratulations to our athletes and coaches for a great spring. Independence Middle School held its annual end-of-the-year Academic Excellence Recognition Program, which honored those students who demonstrated outstanding excellence in the classroom and on the PSSAs. Distinguished honors were given to 209 students, 110 seventh graders and 99 eighth graders for maintaining a minimum 3.75 QPA through the first 9 weeks of the 2012-13 school year. Presidential Academic Excellence Awards were given to 119 eighth graders for maintaining a minimum 3.5 QPA throughout the 7th grade and through the first 9 weeks of the 2012-13 school year, and also scored advanced on either the PSSA reading or math test. Congratulations to all of these students and their commitment to academic excellence. Neil Armstrong Middle School technology education students worked together to assemble 42 kits of the LEGO eLab Solar Renewable Energy Robot Kits and ship them to a school in Moore, Oklahoma, which was recently devastated by the tornadoes that hit there this spring. These kits were used by NAM students during their technology education classes a few years ago and have since been replaced by updated robotics kits, but are still usable and will be put to good use in Oklahoma. Helping teacher Rebecca Foringer to pack up the kits were Menzie Altoff, Shane Clunan, Michaela Crum, Natalie Ewing, Ricky Henderson, Joe Richards, Haley Richard, and Kelly Shelpman. Congratulations to the gifted students at Washington Elementary School who won the coveted Bethel Park Challenge Cup at this year's competition between gifted students of all 5 Bethel Park elementary schools. In this event, students worked individually and together to earn points for their school in this 3-hour event that tested their brains in a variety of activities, including tangrams, perplexers, and number junctions. The event was coordinated by Elementary Gifted Program Coordinator Michelle McCullen. Bethel Park High School English teacher Charles Youngs has been selected to serve as a member of the Carnegie International's 2013 Teacher Advisory Board for the Carnegie Museum of Art. Mr. Youngs is part of a group of 8 area teachers who collaborates with the museum's educational department and the exhibition curators to develop educational programming for school visits to the famed exhibition, which opens in October. Mr. Youngs last served in this capacity in 2008 and annually organizes curriculum-related field trips to the museum for our high school English and language arts students. And that concludes my report for this evening. Happy summer.
Thank you. Student government is off for the summer. PTA, PTO council. Yes, no. And solicitors report.
I provide the written report to the board unless there's any questions. I have nothing further.
Committee reports. I believe we had a curriculum committee meeting since our last meeting. Do you have
Yes.
any update there, Mrs. Buckley?
We had a discussion about the Common Core, the graduation requirements, and I'm going from memory. There was a third one. Sorry, Mr. O'Rourke. What was the third one? Naviance. No, sorry, my brain was in another department. Sorry about that.
Thank you. And we do have a policy committee meeting scheduled for August 1st, Thursday, I believe at 6:30. Public comments on agenda items.
Good evening. Master Sergeant John DeLallo, 1565 Lucille Drive. In the interest of brevity, on finance, item 24, I would ask the secretary enter my comments previously provided to all board members by email into the record. Under policy, item 1, section 218.1, weapons, I would also ask that the secretary enter my comments previously provided to all board members by email as a matter of record. Am I in order on that?
Yes, we can add those to the agenda.
Very well. And who gets these?
Secretary.
Matt. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Brenda Paysor, 3224 Arapahoe Road. Under the increase in the daily rate for substitute teachers and nurses, I had some questions at the committee meeting that I didn't get a chance to ask. There was some discussion about the absentee rate, and if you could go over that, what the absentee rate is, and if you have the cost available of what we do spend per year for substitutes, that would be helpful information. Thank you.
Mrs. Rose, could you address the reason we're trying to raise this rate?
Just to clarify that what our discussion of last week in the committee meeting was not so much about how our teacher absentee rate was or the nurses absentee rate, but it was more about the inability to fill especially the nursing positions, but also the teaching positions when we needed a substitute teacher. Our rates were significantly lower than many of our neighboring school districts. So many times a substitute teacher would go into our ASOP, our teacher substitute program, and would select a job, the substitutes then would go to a district that had a higher salary, and if they got a better offer, they would cancel our district at the last minute, and that would leave us with a shortage of substitute teachers and substitute nurses. So we are raising both of those rates to be more competitive with the going market. I believe we quoted 594 days that we did not have a substitute teacher in the classroom during the school year, 594 instances.
And speaking to Mrs. Pazier's comment too, can you give us an idea roughly of what we do pay for per year for substitute teachers, substitute nurses?
Budget's about $520,000.
I'm sorry?
The budget for substitute teachers is about $522,000. Right in that neighborhood.
Does that include when we pay our teachers to sub in, fill in? And we do have a rate that we pay our teachers to do that as well. Is that correct?
Mrs. Rose,
Yes.
if we have to have a teacher come in as extra duty and cover a classroom, how much does it cost to cover one period?
If the teacher's being pulled from a duty period, there is no stipend. But if we're pulling them from one of their preparation periods, it would be $25 for a 40-minute period in addition to their salary.
So it could wind up costing much more to pull teachers in to cover.
Right. In a typical 5-period day, it would be, if the teacher they're replacing has a 5-period teaching day, that'd be $125 to replace that teacher, as opposed to the $90 that we're raising it to.
And that would be in addition to the $522,000 is in the sub.
Correct.
Any other public comments before we move on with the agenda? Then we will move into our business items, Curriculum Committee, and Mrs. Buckley.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. There are 5 items this evening under curriculum. Would any held out? Hearing none, I would like to move approval of curricula, independent studies, approval of purchase of pre-vocational program, approval of fund varsity competitive spirit, and high school math book purchases.
Second.
Items 1 through 5 under Curriculum Committee have been moved by Mrs. Buckley and seconded by Mr. Means. Any questions or comments on any of these items? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries 7-0. Personnel Committee and Mrs. Rule.
There are 21 items under personnel. Are there any that anyone would like to have held out?
Mrs. Rule, if you would hold out number 9, please.
Which one?
Number 9.
9. Are there any others?
Not hold out, but we can have discussion on 17 and 18.
17 and
Do you want those held out, or do you
I don't know if I necessarily want to hold them out for, but I'd like to talk about them a little more.
I think we can move them all together and then just discuss them.
Okay, that'd be
That's
fine.
okay.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Are there any others? If not, I move that we, 1, have the approval of substitutes, 2, approval of extra duty responsibility program, 3, attainment of status of professional employees, 4, acceptance of resignation, 5, change of assignment, 6, appointment of personnel, 7, approval of leaves of absence, 8, approval to extend unpaid leave of absence. We're holding 9 out. 10, approval of summer help for custodial maintenance. 11, approval of summer help for IT department. 12, approval of appointment of board treasurer. 13, approval of appointment of board secretary. 14, approval to extend director of finance and operations contract. 15, approval of director of secondary education. 16, approval of increase of daily rate for substitute teachers and nurses. 17, approval of the 2013-2014 salaries for administrators and others. And 18, approval of 2013-14 salaries for the administrative support staff. 19, approval of 2013-2014 salaries for head custodian. 20, approval of 2013-2014 salaries for security. And 21, approval of 2013-2014 salaries for technicians.
I'm just going to make one correction. On 17, it's approval of salaries for administrators others category, not and others. It's the administrator others category.
Which would include what?
There are five people in that category. It does not include the Act 93 group. I need a second on the motion. Items 1 through 8 and 10 through 21 under personnel have been moved by Mrs. Rule and seconded by Mr. Rose. Any questions or comments on these items?
Yeah, you just mentioned Act 93.
Yes.
I know we've talked about these are somewhat austere times fiscally, and any increases or raises are always raise a person's eyebrow across the board. Can you explain a little bit more, even to those in attendance today, as well as the board, what Act 93 is, what it mandates as far as the increases, and what is the contractual minimum increase?
Act 93 is a law that covers the negotiation rights for developing contracts for administrators in a school district other than the commissioned officers. So basically, I'm not in Act 93. It's typically the school leaders, the principals, and that group. Our directors are still a part of that group. Their contract calls for a minimum annual raise of $1,500 per year, or 1.437 of the teacher's raise for a given year. So in the absence of a contract at this point, their minimum raise for the year will be $1,500.
And since that is contractually covered, we do not have to pass a motion for that yearly. We just pass a contract for them, and I believe their current contract runs until 2016. Any other questions or comments on personnel items? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Those items carry 7-0. Mrs. Rule.
Okay, 9, I move the approval to extend temporary assignment long-term substitutes.
Second.
Item 9 under personnel has been moved by Mrs. Rule and seconded by Mr. Sustage. Any questions or comments on this item? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
That item carries 6-1. Facilities and Services Committee and Mr. Sustage.
There is one item under facilities and services. I'll get it for 1 second. It's Attorney Pager.
Actually-
And therefore, I'd like to move the approval of the softball field fence. And that is the Board of Directors approves the administration's recommendation to approve the purchase of the fence in the amount of $17,632.
And while you weren't here this evening, another item was added, and that's the approval of the purchase of a pressure steamer for Independence Middle School. So there are actually 2 items on that one.
I'm sorry, okay.
So
I move both items, therefore.
thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Items 1 and 2 under Finance and under Facilities and Services Committee have been moved by Mr. Sustage and seconded by Dr. Campbell. Any questions or comments on these items? Can you just bring us up to speed again on that? I know we talked briefly at the committee meeting about the pressure steamer. That's for the kitchen at Independence Middle School, correct?
That's correct. At the end of the school year, we had one of the pressure steamers fail where it was could not be repaired. The other steamer, as we mentioned in the descriptor, that it is old, but we feel that we can take parts from one and put the second one in operating order for a time period.
And we're taking that from the Capital Reserve Fund because the cafeteria fund does not contain that amount of money.
That's correct.
Any other questions or comments on Facilities and Services item? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Those items carry 7-0. Finance Committee and Mr. Rose.
There are 25 items under the Finance Committee. I will be holding out number 23 separately from Mr. Sustich. Anybody like any others held out separately?
You're holding out, excuse me, item number 23. Would you also hold out item number 25?
Number 25 also.
23 and 25.
Thank you.
Any others? I move the approval of the following items. Number 1, June 2013 salaries and bills. Number 2, May 2013 financial report. Number 3, the bill list for July of 2013. Number 4, budgetary transfers. Number 5, post-June 30, 2013 budget transfers. Number 6, approval of depositories. Number 7, renewal of insurance policies. Number 8, approval of Steel Center Area Vocational Technical School operating budget. Number 9, approval of Steel Center Area Vocational Technical School administrative budget. Number 10, approval of student services contracts. Number 11, approval of the season and all sports passes. Number 12, approval of Harris Computer Systems contract. Number 13, PSBA membership dues renewal. Number 14, approval of the replacement of warming wells at Neil Armstrong Middle School cafeteria. Number 15, purchase of cafeteria supplies for the food service department. Number 16, approval of the purchase of musical instruments. Number 17, approval of the purchase of information technology equipment. Number 18, approval of Blackboard Connect agreement. Number 19, approval of VMware support agreement. Number 20, approval of Bring Your Own Technology. Number 21, selection of voting delegate for the PSB Legislative Policy Council meeting. Number 22, items declared unused and unnecessary. On item number 24, 2013-2014 general fund budget. I move the approval.
Second.
Thank you. Items 1 through 22 and 24 under Finance have been moved by Mr. Rose and seconded by Mr. Means. Any questions or comments on any of these items? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Those items carry 7-0. Mr. Rose.
I move the approval of item number 23, establishment of millage rates of 21.8593.
Second.
Item number 23 under Finance Committee has been moved by Mr. Rose and seconded by Mrs. Buckley. Any questions or comments on this item?
Mrs. Cook.
Mr. Sustich.
I'd like to amend that motion. I would like to amend the millage rate and propose that the millage rate be amended to an amount equal to 21.9693.
Do I have a second for his amendment? Seeing none, the amendment does not move forward. We're back to item 23 as moved by Mr. Rose. Any other questions or comments?
No.
I would like to make a comment then, please.
Yes, sir.
I will be voting not in favor of this assessment of this millage rate. This budget as proposed uses almost $255,000 of our fund balance for the upcoming school year just to balance the budget. And as we learned last week, we already have almost $500,000 in an IOU in our fund balance. I'm very concerned that we're spending more fund balance than we need to at a point in time when we should be conserving that money, given the concern and the opinion of things that are happening in Harrisburg and the possibility of changes to the income, to the property tax structure across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And again, therefore, I will be voting no on this budget.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this item?
Yes, this millage rate, Dick, that you mentioned, 21.8592, that is the minimum without taking the exception, correct? Now, in counterpoint to Mr. Sustich's comments, I would like to say that this would be the first time, at least since I've been on the board, and I believe in recent memory, that we have not taken the exception on the board, that this has been done before tapping into the fund balance. $255,000 is roughly 4% 4% of the fund balance. And again, I still feel that this is a period of austerity. We need to use our resources wisely, and I don't think we need to saddle that upon the citizens of Bethel Park to increase their taxes to do so. Because who would this affect most would be the disenfranchised, the underemployed, the unemployed, the widower, folks on fixed income with retired incomes. There's a lot of what ifs out there. What if, State Bill, House Bill and State Bill 76 go through. Leading indicators, at least what I've been reading, seems to indicate that the state will not go forward with that. I don't think there's enough steam for that to generate for us to be worried about a concern. And rather than raise folks' taxes on the concerns of what ifs, I would personally rather not. I commend the board previously for their great efforts in building up that fund balance. Cipher says we've got a very healthy district compared to many other ones in Western Pennsylvania, and I'm pleased with that, and I laud and commend their efforts in building that fund balance back up. But I understand rainy day funds. I have a personal conviction as far as doing that in my personal life, but I don't think we should do that with other people's money.
I'd like to comment that I agree with what Dr. Campbell just said, and also a group that you left out are the people who are losing their homes, and they just can't afford the mortgage, let alone more taxes. So for that reason and all that he just said, I support this motion.
Yeah, we had 32 foreclosures last month. That's something to think about. We just cannot be raising these taxes at this time.
Anyone else? I concur with Dr. Campbell and what my fellow board members have said. We have in the past qualified for exceptions. Each year that we have applied for them, we have never taken the exceptions. In fact, one year we were able to go slightly below the index number, the index that being set by Act 1, as we have discussed previously with our community. I agree, we can't go to what ifs. We have, PSBA has folks in Harrisburg. We have communication with people from Harrisburg, and the likelihood of the House Bill 76 and subsequent Senate bill of passing is negligible to not at all from all of the sources that we have contact with. But even if it were to pass and the whole taxing structure changes, all that would have to occur then is we would have to tighten our belts, because we would be given a set amount of monies, which we are setting right now, setting a precedence for, and that would be what we in Bethel Park could afford and would live with. Again, tapping into our fund balance, it is not a healthy thing to do. It is not a practice that you want to continue, but the amount that we're looking at for this instance to balance the budget, and we have done it in the past, is that not correct? We have tapped into the fund balance, and quite frankly then at the end of that school year we never had to use those funds. Things fluctuate during the course of a school year. You may have a teacher resign and a sub-teacher come in at a different salary. You may have a student leave the district who has an IEP, for example. So there are many things that fluctuate during the course of the running of the district for a year that will potentially then not even force us to tap into the fund balance at all. For those reasons, I am in support of this motion.
Mrs. Cook, can I say something?
Sure.
I was going to mention this at the end in concluding remarks, but we signed a contract today with the Transportation Union, and it was a hard contract. They had several years of wage freezes, and they increased the amount of money that they contributed toward their health care. Those are hard things to do, I know, because my union's done them too, and it's not fun having a year where you don't have a cost of living increase. But all of us at Bethel Park School District are going to have to learn the new economics. Times are tough, and we're all going to have to tighten our belts. Every one of us, every program, every union, everybody.
Thank you. Any other comments on item number 23? All in favor of this item? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Thank you. That item carries 6-1. Number 25.
Yes,
now,
I
Mr.
move
Rose.
the approval of number 25, Homestead and Farmstead Exclusion Resolution.
Second.
Item number 25 under Finance Committee has been moved by Mr. Rose and seconded by Mrs. Rule. Any discussion of this item? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That item carries 7-0. Policy Committee. Mr. Means, would you take Policy Committee for me this evening?
Let me see. Yes, ma'am.
We're just doing the first reading of those policies that we're going to work on at our Policy Committee.
Okay, seeing one item in the Policy Committee, I would like to make a motion to move the approval of policies.
And it's not a motion, you're just calling the first reading of those
Okay,
items.
I'd like to call the first reading of the approval of policies and policy revisions. This is the first of 3 readings. Do I have to read off the policy numbers?
No.
Okay.
Right, and those items will be discussed further at the Policy Committee meeting. That's just the first reading, so they will we have those on the website so that they can view? They're on the website, so if anyone has any comments, they can direct them to administration and/or attend the Policy Committee meeting on August 1st regarding those. And we have added Mr. DeLello's comments, or we will be adding those to the minutes. We are to public comments on anything you wish to address the board about this evening. You have 2 minutes at the microphone. Name and address, please.
Good evening, Steve Husser, 5600 Library Road. I just, last month in May, the board spent a significant amount of money on securing doors at a couple of the schools. I think it was IMS and one of the elementary schools. And that's, I certainly support that with an effective access to buildings policy, and secure doors will make a difference in keeping students more safe. I just wanted to comment to the board, and that it's really important. Hopefully this is already in place, but it can maybe be reviewed of the policy related to access to buildings, because in my job I occasionally travel to Pittsburgh area schools and after-school programs, that have a buzzer system, and I'm often buzzed in without anyone having any idea who I am, or someone will see me in the building and just open the door for me without knowing who I am. And while that's convenient for me, it's not really, if it's done on a regular basis, very safe for the school or for the students. And I just really encourage the board to work with the administration, to train staff, to train students, to make sure that there's a coherent and effective policy related to access to buildings to keep everyone safe, because expensive doors aren't going to do any good if that doesn't exist. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into board comments then.
Okay. Well, there's a
you
lot.
already gave part of yours already, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to say. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the students on their achievements. Second, I was very pleased with the way the graduation went in the gym. I thought it was very conducive. They had a nice, cozy, warm feel, I think, a little bit less sterile and maybe a little bit less formal than the outside graduation, and it seemed like the students liked it. I was extremely glad to be able to give our veteran his diploma. That warmed the cockles in my heart. And I'm really pleased also that we achieved a contract with the transportation union. If you would have asked me 6 weeks ago if that would have happened, I would have said no way, but due to circumstances, at the end it worked out, and I'm pleased we're able to keep those employees for the next couple of years at least.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Buckley.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. I would just like as well to congratulate the students who were on the screen tonight and wish all of the children a happy summer. I hope they're relaxing and enjoying their time away from school. As far as the budget that we passed this evening, there was a lot of discussion. There was a lot of research done on the part of the board members and the things that we looked at very carefully, and it was a decision that was not taken lightly. So just wanted to mention that and to wish everyone else a nice summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rhodes.
Real quickly, we toured Neil Armstrong today, and school's a mess. You look at that school today and you think they'll never in the world open in September. But we're assured they will. They're working 10-hour shifts, 5 days a week, and they're getting a lot done and have a good program scheduled to achieve what they need to achieve in at least the classrooms. When we open school at Neil, there may be some problems with work still going on in the hallways and areas like that. Classrooms are priority, and they do believe today they will have all those done when school opens, and it will be safe for children to go to that building. But don't expect a miracle. It will not be completed when school opens. We'll just be well on our way, and we're going to have to work around some things for a while to get it finished. So keep your fingers crossed that we don't run into any problems. So far, it's going well, but it is a major, major job for one summer to get it done. They're trying, but we just hope it works out. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Roll.
I'm pleased with the transportation also settling. I think that it was interesting to watch that process and to see that they recognized how we had to work together to give concessions on both sides in order to, maintain that transportation here in the district. And I think that that really was something that worked to all of our advantage. And they are one of the lower paid, salaries in our system. And I think that says something that they were willing to make those, adjustments so that we could proceed and have a good school year. And also that our children and grandchildren now have safe transportation, so that's a good thing. As far as Steele Center, they have now recessed for the summer. And Shasta has also recessed for the summer. And I went to
you have nothing to do this summer then.
I don't have anything to do, at least for the month of July. And Allegheny Intermediate Unit did have their recognition night last night for 5 of their teachers. And they gave excellent awards to like a lot of the special teachers. One of the ESL teachers is in a room that teaches, they have 53 different languages that they are teaching these children English language. So 53 of them across Allegheny County, that's a lot. So they were well recognized and it was a nice event.
Dr. Campbell.
I also want to say congratulations to the senior graduating class of 2013. That was wonderful. It was beautiful, beautiful. I've been to many college graduations, university graduations, and that was, if anything, on par or better. And the comments that I've received from the public, too, emails that I've received, phone calls, have just said the exact same thing. I have not heard, since graduation, not a single negative comment. Not a single negative comment. But gobs and gobs about how people were so gratified with it. I also want to say congratulations to the transportation workers in the district. This is probably one of the most important meetings that I've been attending with since I think I've been on the board tonight. And I'm not going to say that so much like a line was drawn in the sand, but I think it really kind of draws to the forefront, the fiscal responsibility and the fiscal difficulties that we struggle and we have to work with. The transportation workers got it, understood it, and they dealt with the wage freeze, and they dealt with going ahead and making a bigger contribution to their to their health care. I think our administrators got it also with understanding that we would raise them only to the absolute Act 93 minimum this year. And again, I credit the previous board for their responsibilities and really adhering to the fund balance and cushion and develop the cushion that we have there. But by this means, we're not able to. We didn't have to raise the taxes into the minimum, above the minimum, into the exception. And I was very pleased with that would transpire. I believe this is healthy. I believe this is incredibly healthy for Bethel Park. I think it's incredibly healthy for each of our residents as a consequence, and for us as a district. And that's all I'd like to conclude with.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sussage, do you have any comments? Are you still there, Mr. Sussage? Well, speaking of being fiscally responsible, I know I have several reporters in my audience, and I just want to publicly correct some statements that I have read in the local papers of recent times. And the statement, I could let it go once, but I have read it now 3 times in 3 different articles in relation to the hiring of a new superintendent in Peters Township. And in the text of those articles, they are describing the salaries of other South Hills area superintendents. And it continually quotes in these articles that Bethel Park superintendent makes $150,000 to $152,000 per year. I personally signed the contract with Mrs. Rose, and her contracted amount at the time of hire was $135,000 and is currently $137,700. So I just publicly wanted to state that because I am disheartened that our community doesn't get the factual information that it deserves to have. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Hello everyone, I am Fiore, host and producer of Outtakes with Fiore here on BPTV, and it's not going to be too long. Short period of weeks before Outtakes celebrates its 500th episode. Now, in the research I've done, 500th episode is going to be a milestone not only for BPTV, but also for film review shows all across the nation. And we'd like you to be a part of it. If you've been a fan of the show for a good number of years, or if you've been a recent fan, we're inviting you to be part of the 500th episode show. All you need to do is give station director Dave Cable a call at this number, 412-831-3304. That's 412-831-3304, and you can come down to the studio and make your own taped greeting that will be part of the 500th episode. I know I'm going to be there. It's a milestone. Why don't you be part of it too? Call Dave Cable today at 412-831-3304.
Hey, you ready? Of course I am. What are you waiting for? I was waiting for you. So we're gonna continue the hubby thing real quick.
Okay, places everyone. In a minute! Do I have to do everything myself?
You can't do it all by yourself.
I have to say that...
Sure I can.
No, he can't. And neither can I. So why don't you come on down to BPTV and help us make some of the great community programs you see on this station every day?
Yeah!
I mean, we can help you make your TV show ideas a reality.
It's pretty awesome.
So come on down. I mean, I am pretty good, but I'm sure I could use your help.